Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Have a Seat with Chris Hansen. I'm Chris Hansen, live in New York City, as we continue our broadcast tonight, investigating once again Onision, the YouTube streamer accused of sexual impropriety, grooming, enticing underage women, and all kinds of other things, essentially running a cult-like operation. And as you know, we've been interviewing a number of alleged victims in this case. And last week we had somebody who was a former moderator for Onision, Gregory Jackson, and his wife, Kai, who we're going to talk about a little bit tonight, because once again, we have someone who experienced firsthand what it's like to be bullied and targeted by Greg Jackson, Onision, and Kai. So I'd like to welcome to the show tonight Elaine, who comes to us live, and I appreciate you being here, Elaine. Thank you. I want to thank Vincent Nicotra, as always, for web producing tonight and being involved and helping us put together this show so it looks great. And I want to thank StreamYard for providing the platform on which we work. Vincent, thank you. Good evening. Elaine, thanks for being on the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So how did you first become aware of Onision, and how old were you at the time?
I was about 12, maybe 13, and I was just browsing YouTube, and I saw a video called, How to Tell If a Guy Likes You. So that piqued my interest, and I wanted to watch it.
So you were 12 years old, like so many other young women who, Onision caught the attention of. And what was going on in your life at the time?
Well, my dad had just recently passed away, so I think I was kind of yearning for an adult father figure, just to look up to.
And what was it about Onision that appealed to you? What, besides this video, how do you know if a guy likes you? What was it about his ways or his personality or his videos or what he was doing or saying?
I found that he kind of, this sounds mean, was at the same intellect as me, if that makes sense. He was very on my level, but he was an adult, so you don't really see many adults like that. So that instantly grabbed my attention.
So looking back, you're 19 now, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
7 years ago, I mean, you're a child.
Yeah.
Looking back, what was it that attracted you to Onision?
I think being an adult and being so immature really appealed to me, because I wasn't around very many immature adults. I was expected to act a certain way, and Onision was just oh, look, I'm a spaz and I'm a grown-up, you can be just like me. So yeah.
Do you think, looking back now, that he was doing that on purpose to attract younger people? I mean, for more than just the likes and the followers and the views that made him money at the time?
Definitely. I mean, look at all these people coming out now. The same things attracted them to him.
So you follow Onision, you like his videos. How did you progress from there? Did you ever have contact with him or Kai, and how did that come about?
Well, when I was 14, I got my Onision hoodie, and he retweeted it, and that was one of the most exciting days of my life, which is
so you got an Onision hoodie that he was selling.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you took a picture of yourself and sent it to him?
Yes.
And he tweeted that?
Yeah. He just retweeted it. I don't believe he made any comments or anything about it.
And how did you feel about that? The fact that this guy, who was a celebrity in your eyes, tweeted a picture of you in his hoodie?
I was super excited. I told all my friends, and yeah. It was very much like being noticed by a real celebrity.
This was pretty cool at the time, being, what, 14 years old?
Yeah, very much.
Cool. And then how did you get to communicating with Kai?
When I was about 15, I'd gotten my hair short like Kai's, and he saw a picture and tweeted it and said, oh, this is me and Regina's love child. I look like both of them. Like if they were to have a child, that would be me.
Regina being the Onision and
Hmm.
Kai victim who appeared on this show, who talked to us, who was victimized, bullied, and potentially received some very questionable material online from Kai.
Yes, sir.
So some of these other girls who have been targeted by Onision and Kai, but take me back to this moment when Kai reaches out to you and says, "Oh my God, you could be the love child of Regina and me." Did you process what she meant by that? What he meant by that at the time?
Uh, no, I didn't really understand how inappropriate that was because I believe Regina was underage at the time and Kai was 19 or 20. Um, so I honestly was just excited that Kai had to have saved the picture to his phone to have tweeted it the way he did. He didn't just retweet it.
And did you send a picture of yourself to Kai?
I tweeted it to him. I said like at LaneyBot, "Hey, I got my hair cut like yours," and he saved it, I believe.
And how did the communication go from there between you and Kai?
We didn't really talk until after the first time him and Billy broke up. And he would just kind of complain and be like, "Oh, I can't believe Billy has to come back." Like, or like, sorry.
That's all right. So Billy, just to set the stage here, and I think most people who are watching tonight know exactly who Billy is, but Billy is another, alleged victim of Onision and Kai. Billy had, is it fair to say, a relationship with Kai.
Hmm.
Um, she appeared on this show, Billy did, and really tells a harrowing tale of what happened and how she was treated by these people. Now, did you actually get to know Billy during this period of time?
No, I started talking to Billy after the last time that they broke up.
And how did you get dragged into all this drama between Kai and Billy? Explain that to me.
Billy had put up a video and she was just, it was very disturbing to watch. She was very upset about some information Onision had leaked. And I think I just tweeted like, "Hey, Billy, you're not a bad person for smoking. Um, you know, keep your head up." And then Kai had gotten really upset because I suppose they saw the tweet and direct messaged me on Instagram calling me fake and saying like they wish they had never met me and stuff like that.
And as a kid at the time, how did that impact you?
I remember that night I barely slept. I was very, very upset.
And how did you feel about Kai?
Strangely enough, I still felt a lot of sympathy for them for being, trapped with Onision. And I still supported them, but I was disappointed that they went off on me like that.
So Kai goes off on you for basically just commenting that you felt bad for Billy in the relationship she had with Kai and Onision.
Yeah.
And she came after you, or Kai came after you.
Yes. He did it privately though, so nobody saw it.
And that was tough on you as a kid.
Yes.
These people who you saw as celebrities are now going after you aggressively in direct messages.
Hmm.
Give me a sense of how that went. The direct messages. You have some of them with you here. What what
Yeah.
what did Kai say to you, and put it into context for me?
Okay. Let me pull it up. So the first one he sent me said, "Did you honestly just call Billy a good person after everything she has done? You're just about the fakest person I have ever met." And that was after he saw the tweet of me saying Billy's not a bad person for smoking and she had my support. And that's what I said. I said, I feel bad for her for what she's going through right now. That doesn't negate my support for you. Um, and then Kai said, she's not a good person because she was wronged. She's not a good person at all. She's a horrible person, has done so much bad to me. Should her info have been posted? No, but that doesn't make her a blanking good person. She left out so many details in order to paint herself as a victim. And yes, you are fake. A few months ago, you were hating on her.
Is that true? Were you hating on
Yes,
Bill?
I was very immature when I was younger. So whenever Kai would tweet about being upset, I'd be like, "Oh, screw you, Billy. You're a bad person and shame on you for being a homewrecker." Because that was the picture that had been painted by Kai.
How into this whole thing were you at this age? The whole dynamic, the drama between Kai, Onision, Billy. You get
I
sucked into it.
Yeah, I was more into it than I'd like to admit. Social media was kind of my outlet when I was younger because I was kind of shy and awkward. So that was my escape.
Did you live in this world?
Yeah, I found myself checking my phone and making sure like Kai was okay and a lot more than just an average person would.
How hurtful was it when Kai took off after you like this?
Um, It was very hurtful. I remember dry heaving over my toilet because I was having an anxiety attack about it. Um, I stayed up all night talking to my friend Haley, who was also on the show. Um, Kai was also mad about that because I had talked to Haley um, previously, and he felt betrayed by Haley. So I shouldn't have spoken to her either.
Do you think that Kai was in the process of grooming you into a deeper relationship similar to Billy, Haley, Sarah, the other victims we know about in this case?
Um, I'm not. I don't want to say yes, but I feel like I would have definitely have been an easy target, which is scary.
You said something interesting just a moment ago that you thought Kai was trapped by Onision. Explain that to me.
Um, Onis, he said it himself that Kai is very codependent on Onision. He said it multiple times, and that's why he said he felt like he couldn't leave. And then all those tweets were gone, and he got back together with Greg the first time that Greg cuddled with Billy in bed.
And do you think that part of Kai bringing young women into the house, into the relationship, both online and in person, was it a way because Kai didn't want to be alone with Onision? Do you think there's anything to that? I've heard that before.
Um, I think so. I think Kai really could have used a friend, but I also think Kai really likes power more than people would think. That's why he goes after these younger people because somebody his own age wouldn't tolerate his behavior.
How would you best describe Kai?
A wolf in sheep's clothing.
A wolf in sheep's clothing.
Hmm.
Why?
Yeah. He's a very good victim, and I really do think he was a victim of Onision's abuse and grooming, but it changed when he started bringing other girls in to abuse. Um, and it's just gotten uglier as time has gone on.
Is Kai just as guilty as Onision in this whole
100%.
scheme? 100%.
Hmm.
Why do you say that?
Kai, I would say, is kind of the bait. And that is disturbing considering he's a parent. Um, you know, you your job as a parent and an adult in general is to protect young, vulnerable people, and here you are luring them into your household for your husband to take advantage of.
Do you think Onision and Kai started this as a way to lure young women into this potentially illegal activity, or were they just YouTube sensations who drifted towards this very dark behavior?
I think Onision has always preyed on young women, and I think that has been his motive for as long as he's been on YouTube. You know, with fame comes that power, and, you know, young girls are going to idolize you. I don't think Kai started that way, but he slowly progressed towards that.
And what do you think the real relationship is between Kai and Onision? Obviously, there's a marriage. There
Mm-hmm.
are two children in this house. There's a massive YouTube presence even today, even with these allegations, even with this graphic content, even with the bullying that goes on his YouTube channel. YouTube allows this,
Mm-hmm.
and it continues, and he's monetized as far as anybody knows. What do you think the real relationship is between Onision and Kai?
I honestly still think it's the fan and the idol. I think Kai will never leave because they're still so starstruck by Onision.
And these two little kids are stuck in the middle of this.
Yeah. And my heart goes out to them.
After Kai sent you those direct messages,
Mm-hmm.
criticizing you, berating you in a way for defending Billy, some of the others, what happened after that?
Um, I posted them because people were concerned about me. And then I guess news kind of caught wind to Onision, and he tweeted something along the lines of like, "Hey Elaine, stop talking about us. Like, we're not interested in you. We've moved on and you should too." And that kind of made me upset because I hadn't talked about him for like days, and then he goes and like stirs the pot. So I really don't know where that came from.
What does it say that Onision, Gregory Jackson, would come after you? A kid who, just made a statement on social media.
um I don't really know what his motive was for it. I think it was to kind of scare me, but
Were you scared?
uh no, I was mostly angry because, like, who does he think he is to try to come after me, you know? Because we hadn't talked. The only interaction we had had at that point was him calling me traitor scum on Twitter for
Traitor scum.
traitor scum. Yes. Because I took sides with Billy and not Kai publicly.
So was that it? Was that when you cut off ties with Kai and Onision?
Um, yeah, I hadn't really been a fan of Onision because I just kind of saw his behavior as scummy, but I was still a big fan of Kai for a long time. And then, he direct messaged me
So
that.
explain to me how this relationship developed between you, Billy, Sarah, Haley, and the other alleged victims of Onision and Kai here.
Well, me and Sarah were one of the first to talk. I mean, Regina obviously had reached out to me after seeing that we looked alike and was like, "Hey, that's so cool. Like, it's cool that you're a fan of Kai." And we would text back and forth just asking about our days and stuff. But me and Sarah had actually had a pretty good bond. And she's the one who told me about Onision and Kai's bullying towards her when she was underage and living with them. So I was very concerned about her well-being at that household, especially after Billy had left.
Do you feel a bond with the other young ladies, Sarah,
Mm-hmm.
Billy?
Yeah.
Do
They're
you talk
like,
frequently?
yeah, yeah, almost every day.
And how would you describe the relationship you have with Sarah, Billy, Haley?
They're my sisters. Yeah.
What do you talk about?
Um, we'll just talk about like annoying customers at work. Sometimes we'll see a meme or a tweet that makes us laugh or think about each other. So we'll send that. You know, we try to keep each other positive through all this.
And what role do you play in this group?
I just try to support all my girls, make sure they're mentally healthy and doing fine because this is pretty taxing for everybody.
We had Sarah, as you know, on this show, along with Billy and Haley and Shiloh and the rest of the young women, who all very bravely told their stories here to me, and they're all serious, tragic in their own ways. Sarah, might have been one of the youngest to actually travel and go out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I think in some ways might have been among the most just impressionable and exploit. I mean, everybody was exploited in this thing, and I don't mean to compare who was treated worse. It was all horrible stuff. But do you seem to derive strength from each other?
Yeah, 100%. Seeing them being so strong is so inspiring. Like every day, I just wake up and hope I can be just half as strong and powerful as these girls.
Do you ever wonder, Elaine, what would have happened if one of these conversations you had with Kai took a different turn? That
Um,
the conversation became more intimate, more personal, that maybe you could have ended up flying out to Seattle and staying in Washington State at the home of Kai and Onision?
I do think about that, but I have very, very protective parents. So even if I had tried to um, go to Washington, I think my mom would pack herself up in my suitcase. So,
Right.
yeah.
Why do you think Onision and Kai chose the alleged victims that they did? Do you think
Um,
there's a pattern here? I mean, they're all good young women. They're all nobody's dumb.
yeah,
Maybe they were in vulnerable situations. Uh,
yeah.
what is the common thread here? Do you think?
I think they find them when they are most vulnerable. Obviously, with Sarah, she was very young. Your hormones, your brain is still developing, like you're going through all these changes. You're going to be impressionable, especially when an adult tells you, like, hey, you should come do this. You're going to want to do that. That's just your instinct. Um, I think all these girls were just caught at a very vulnerable time. And, they were made to believe, like, if you come out here, we'll support you, we're going to take care of you. And they were just taken advantage of.
I think one of the most shocking things is that this you see in some of the cases where the relationship develops between the young woman and Kai, and
Mm-hmm.
then you have Onision, Gregory Jackson, consistently planting these seeds, this sexual innuendo and suggestive thoughts into these young women to get them involved into a relationship with him, and then blames them in front of Kai
Mm-hmm.
to create the drama. And then it's all talked about on social media and on YouTube. Do you think that this is in some ways real life drama, or do you think they just do this just to, I mean, they're clearly taking advantage of these young women on many different levels, but do you think they're doing it because there's psychosexual need here, or do you think they're doing it just merely to gin up views on YouTube?
I really do think they get off on humiliating these girls and then building them back up. So they rely more on them for their support, for their comfort, even though they're the ones who caused the humiliation in the first place.
Do you think this is a cult in some ways?
I do. They have very cult-like behaviors, and it's hard to deny that. And Onision tried to make his own religion. So why would he just stop doing that randomly, you know?
There was a video recently that Onision put out on YouTube where he's in the shower. Have you seen this video?
Yes, sir.
Describe it. I've not seen it. I know Vincent has told me it exists and everything else. And this just was in the last week, right?
I believe so, yes.
And describe the video for me.
He's basically screaming, dry heaving, gagging, fake crying, about having a baby carrot, which is what people make fun of, like his private parts. And there's one point where he kind of like pans his camera down and you can see his private parts.
And this was on YouTube.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So let me get this straight. Onision, Gregory Jackson, exposes himself on YouTube.
Yes.
Full frontal nudity.
Mm-hmm.
Genitalia.
Mm-hmm.
And yet he's not sanctioned at all on YouTube. He's allowed to do this.
No. Yeah, I don't understand.
In our interview with Shiloh, the Canadian pop star who was victimized by Onision, who he coerced into shaving her head. There's videos of him doing all kinds of abusive stuff, showing her in a seizure. Our interview with her was deemed, not completely acceptable for monetization, where we talk to a victim of Onision's. Yet it's okay for Onision to expose himself on a video on YouTube?
Apparently so.
Does that make sense to you?
Absolutely not. YouTube needs to get their act together. I don't know what is taking them so long. You continuing to normalize this behavior is just going to victimize more people. And it's going to allow more of people like Onision to just come out because this is being so normalized.
Now you have a unique perspective here because these other young women who were victimized by Onision and Kai. You had contact with Onision and Kai, experienced some intimidation, bullying, some of the bad behavior they exhibit online, but you didn't actually go out there to become a physical victim. What do you think about the potential for other victims being out there? I mean, if we know of 6 or 8, at least, who have spoken out, we know of others who have not yet decided to talk to us, but we're in communication. How many other victims could be out there?
I hope this is it, but knowing them, they can be victimizing people right now as we speak, and we won't know until they decide to speak out. And if you are one of those people, please come to one of us. We are here to support you. You don't need to be embarrassed. It's not too late. You can get help.
If a young woman is out there tonight watching this discussion, and she's on the fence about speaking publicly, what do you say to that young woman?
It's intimidating and it's scary, but if I can do it, you can do it. It's you're gonna do great. Everybody's gonna support you. Like, now is the time to do it. Get your word in. They can't hurt you. They don't have their following that they used to.
And you talk about Billy. What has been the long-lasting impact on Billy, do you think? I mean, she was very brave. She came on the show. We had a very heartfelt discussion, opened a lot of people's eyes. But each one of these young women, was a bit anxious, understandably, to
Mhm.
come forward and talk. And I almost think that it's worthwhile to get everybody together and sort of, okay, you were nervous the first time, now that we've all been out there, exposed to these things, talked about it, what should happen next? It's almost, and we've talked privately off camera about, the need for therapy and things, that these young women need and what to do. I mean, what has been the long-term impact on Billy? You talked to her.
Um, I know she was afraid to post on her YouTube channel for a while. She was just intimidated by the internet, which was her job. It is her job. So they really scared her away from that for a while. And I know she was embarrassed about it. But she did put on like a brave face and, acted like nothing was really bothering her, but I know it was.
And Sarah?
Sarah, she is very strong and very brave, but I know, like being groomed at such a young age, like she's going to have trust issues, and she does, but she's also handling this with so much grace, and I don't know. I love them. I love them both.
Well, they're all, each, you included, each one of you has had a very important piece of this investigation, this expose, as we continue to, no pun intended, peel back the onion here. Onision sometimes is called onion. What do you think should happen to him ultimately?
I think he should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. I think both him and Kai should be prosecuted. They don't deserve any leverage.
And what do you think of YouTube and all this?
I am embarrassed to have supported their platform for so long, with how they are just sweeping this behavior under the rug. And, they're prosecuting you for trying to expose these people, but they're not prosecuting the people who deserve to be exposed like this.
Well, prosecuting might be, I know what you're saying. And
Yeah.
but they have, they demonetized the other channel. We're
Yeah, they're punishing
monetizing
you
this channel,
guys.
but it seems weird to me and incongruous that, we somehow trip an algorithm by using the word Reddit and some other things when we're merely exposing wrongdoing, which is what I've done for 37 years of my career. Why they're nicking us and Onision continues to do what he's doing. It's hard for me to believe. I also see this happening to other streamers. I mean, we do this because it's the right thing to do. We're not in it, this isn't how I make my living, but it is. I mean, look, if you're qualified, you should be monetized. There's no question. We are now, but there again, they came back to us and said that the interview with Shiloh had issues after review and the monetization is limited. Yet here's Onision exposing himself, and that's okay.
Yeah, I don't understand what they have to gain from Onision at this point. His career was really dead until you guys started talking about it, so I don't know why they haven't just taken him down.
And Kai, does Kai deserve any consideration for being, in some people's minds, a victim here as well?
I think they lost that chance when they started victimizing people themselves.
Does it shock you that those kids are still allowed to live in that household?
Yes. I don't understand how, like, anybody thinks that's a safe environment. Like, sure, they're fed, their physical needs are taken care of, but what about the mental well-being of children?
All right. What do you say to the other young women out there? Sarah, Billy, Haley, Shiloh.
Thank you guys for making me into a stronger person. I love you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys grow and flourish in 2020.
All right. Well, listen, Elaine, I appreciate it very much. Is there anything else you want to say? If you could say something to Kai or Onision, Gregory Jackson right now, what would you say?
Onision, your days of grooming young women are over. This isn't a joke. The only joke here is you. So stop being a fool on YouTube. Start looking into some legal counsel because we're coming for you.
All right. All right. Well, listen, Elaine, thank you very much. I truly appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And you take care of yourself. We'll stay in touch. And I appreciate it very much. A couple of notes tonight as we wrap up. We have, other victims we're talking to who will appear on this show. I have some further information from the FBI. The investigation continues. I know for a fact tonight, and I can tell you this, that the FBI will be examining potential evidence involving enticement, grooming, and the transmission of child pornography. And it's a full-fledged investigation. So we'll keep you in the loop on that. Also, we did hear from Onision this week. He still has refused to appear on this show. He did reach out and asked if I would appear on his show, which is not going to happen. So, our offer continues. As you know, he demanded $350,000 to appear on the show, but that is also not going to happen. So our offer stands for Onision to be on this show. We'll see if he has the guts and the energy to do it. In the meantime, our friends at YouTube reached out 2 more times to get an interview. I see that Susan Wojcicki, the CEO, who initially got back to me via email, and there were some encouraging conversations about potentially an interview there. I reached out again today and so far have not had a commitment. But we renew our request to YouTube to come on this show. And I understand that this is, when it comes to Onision and Kai, it seems like it's a pretty straightforward issue. Predators, people going after vulnerable young women. But overall, from a creative content provider standpoint, listen, nobody understands the First Amendment better than I do. Nobody will fight for it harder than I will. But when crimes are committed, you have to really have a gut check here and say, what the heck is going on? So I know that Susan Wojcicki has appeared on other YouTube channels, perhaps more of a, feature-y format, less difficult questions. They have said in the past that they don't comment on individual streamers. Fine. But what is YouTube doing to protect viewers, streamers from predatory behavior? And there was a statement from YouTube last week that they're doubling down on their efforts to stop bullying and intimidation. And, we'll see how that works out. But in the meantime, we have a lot of exciting shows ahead, not just on Onision. We're working on some other topics. We do want to let you know that next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Obviously, that's going to be Christmas, so we won't be doing a live show. Probably do something on Thursday, but we'll put out an announcement. I'll hit the airwaves on social media and on here on YouTube to let you know that. But I want you all to have a wonderful holiday. Thank you for your support. Thank you for the overwhelming response to this investigation. I promise you we'll continue, and we will see it through to the very end. It's going to be a very active couple of weeks. So thank you again for Vincent Nicotra. Elaine, thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it. Have a good night and a wonderful holiday. Take care.
Happy holidays, everyone.